Hello everybody and welcome to the British Pint. My name is Christoph and today we're brewing one of the historical beers, a series that I started recently with the 1890 Whitbread KK. That was a mild, and today we're brewing a keeping pale ale, which is going to be very tricky, and I'm not sure about all the details yet, but I'm definitely sure that this will store for months in one of my kegs, and so I'm probably going to publish the brewing video very quickly and then the tasting video a long time later. I got the recipe from Ron Patterson, and as far as I know this is on his website. It's one of the recipes he published last year's December, so it's a bit recent. 1901 Whitbread KK, KK standing for the second strength and K for keeping. This recipe is made with a lot of different malts compared to the mild ale we had last time. So we have some of the pale malt, which I'm going to use the German Chevallier malt for, which I described in the last Brewing Day video. And then they use SA malt, which is a strong ale malt, and that one is supposed to have been a bit darker. So Ron suggests mild ale for that one, mild ale malt, and I got the Warminster mild ale malt for that, 10 to 14 EBC. And then they use brown malt. I don't have the historical brown malt, I only have current day brown malt, which is 160 EBC for me at the moment. And yeah, that's pretty much the types of grains that you need. But if you want to calculate the values and into values that you can use, the important thing that you have to do is you have to take care of the sugar first. So we want to reach an original gravity of 1067, that is 19° Plato, and 4.4 grams per liter are going to be invert sugar. He suggests number 3, but he doesn't know, as he says in the post on his blog. So I'm going to use number 2, just because I don't want to use up number 3 too much. We're going to use that in the next beer as well. So number 2 invert sugar is what I'm going to use. 4.4 grams per liter will give me roughly 4.4 degrees Plato. So I need to reach 14.6 degree Plato with all the rest of the malts. So I'm going to go for the 1050 grams for my 4.5 liters that I'm going to do, 1 UK gallon. And for that, the percentages then shift compared to what is written on the blog, because on the blog, Ron always includes the sugar in the percentages of the grain bill. Now, I need 50.8% mild malt, 51% you could say, 47% of the pale malt, Chevallier in this case, and then 1.7% of the brown malt. And that's exactly how I calculated everything. I crushed it earlier this morning. I already mashed everything in, because the mashing is supposed to be the long historical one that I didn't do last time, and last time I had a much lower gravity than I wanted to. I realized there are actually 2 reasons for that. One is the Chevallier malt that is different from modern malt, and the other reason is that I didn't actually check before and after adding the sugar whether that sugar gives me the amount of Plato that I think, because I do not know whether some of my sugars have 2% of water, 5% of water, 10% of water, something like that could be the case. So today, at the end of the boil, I will actually measure whether I got the 14.6 degree Plato and then add the sugar and check if that increased as it should, and then keep increasing it if I have to. I'll let you know in the end. Okay, so the beer behind me is already at the end of its sparge, because I just didn't have time to record in the morning, and I put my whole pot, the big one that I also do the boil in usually, in the oven. The oven is very accurate in getting 65 degrees correctly, so I just let it in there for 2.5 hours. This is the simplification of the historical recipe, which was, as I described it last time, 2 hours 40 minutes with a slightly varying amount of temperatures. So 2.5 hours at 65 degrees is my mashing program for today. 4 liters of mash liquor, 3 liters of sparge liquor. I did my usual thing with the mash liquor, which is boil it after adding a bit of salts. In this case it was 2 grams of sulfate and 1 gram of chlorate of calcium, and that just boosts the sulfate a lot, which is typical for the pale ale that we're doing today, and just adds a bit of calcium chloride. So a bit of chloride, lots of sulfate, and of course lots of calcium as well. Now the hops. Ron always calculates around 4% alpha acids, so my hops are slightly different. I will have to adjust for that. But just to give you a general idea, he uses Fuggles at the beginning of the boil for 105 minutes, and then Goldings for 60 minutes, 30 minutes, and a dry hop. And he's using 4 grams per liter for the Fuggle and the first 2 additions of Goldings. and then 1.2 grams per liter for the Golding's dry hop. I will put the dry hop in the keg for the 6 months, which is going to change a lot in how the beer tastes, especially it's going to make it quite bitter. This already has a calculated IBU of about 100, so this is going to be probably a nightmare. And then I might actually think about adding Brettanomyces after the 4 to 6 months, and then let it in the bottle with Brettanomyces, like doing a third conditioning or something like that. There will be some hop creep probably, so there will be a very dry beer. I'm going to mix the White Labs 007 that I have from last time. This is an incredibly flocculating yeast. I think this is even worse than Fuller's and West Yorkshire Ale. This one came out of my just the transfer vessel that I used to wash the yeast. I had it as a yeast cake at the bottom that fell out in one piece, and I had to select a piece that fit in here and then just let it slowly sink in there. That was like a pudding or trifle or whatever. That was insane. So very strongly flocculating yeast, which is this the first Whitbread strain, and then the second Whitbread strain is the yeast 1099. I'm going to use that as well. I'm going to mix these and just add a bit of each. Try to get a low pitching rate right, which is typical for ale, but half-half. Okay, pitching temperature is supposed to be 14 degrees Celsius. I'm probably going to, like last time, cool it down overnight and then add the yeast and then just let it ferment as it wants to. Anything else I need to add? Color, we'll see. My brown malt is darker, my sugar is paler than what Ron Patterson calculated. I recorded how what the color looked like while it was sparging. That was really nice, very dark red to ruby color. So I guess I'll see you either at the pitching, which I haven't been able to record very often in the past, or we see each other for the tasting in the next video. So take care and bye bye. Hi guys, just want to let you know that I had both effects of those that I feared. Less gravity from the grain and less gravity from the sugar. So I measured the gravity after the boil, and you will see that this is less than I would normally want to, because it had boiled down to this level, which is 3.5 liters probably, and the gravity was just right of what I expected before the sugar. And then I added the right amount of sugar and didn't go up as much as I wanted to, and so I added more sugar. I'm now at 18.7 degree Brix. And that is how I will let it ferment. I think this is roughly the right amount, so this should be fine. But I definitely have to add more Chevallier in all the future brews, especially the one that I want to do tomorrow about the Barclay Perkins keeping porter. And for that I will just add some more Chevallier, because it's only the Chevallier that has the lower efficiency, and all the other malts behave as I'm used to. Yeah, so, and then with the sugar I'm not sure, probably there was some water in it or something, I don't know. I already pitched both yeasts in a reasonable ratio, I hope. I will just shake it really well, put it in my tiny fridge, so I emptied this one earlier, and put it in there, get it down to probably around 17 degrees, because I don't want to get it too cold and stop the yeast. And then just let it rise on its own to 20-21 degrees. This is similar to the schedule that Fullers use for their fermentations nowadays. This is not historic. Historically, they would just cool it down to a certain temperature, pitch the yeast, and just let it do what it wants. Maybe with some cooling, but definitely the yeast was stronger than the cooling, because the temperature would go up continuously until the end. And they would probably do, I know that they would do a certain cool crash at some point, but up to then I don't think they were cooling. So yeah, I will do that, see how far I go with that, get with that, and then I will have a reasonable representation of this beer. Still not sure about the Brettanomyces. Depends on whether the other keeping one is nice, and then we will maybe buy one package of White Labs Brettanomyces Clauseni, which is the traditional one, and then add half in you know, add the whole package in all, distributed over all the bottles, and then maybe we'll see. Yeah. That's all for now, and then see you for the next beer, which is the Barclay Perkins Keeping Porter. Bye bye.